Social value of mindfulness. In the following quotation from the Siddhartha Sutta, the Buddha's words describing the benefits of mindfulness sati reveal the closeness, in practical terms, of its meaning to that of heedfulness, apamada. Besides clarifying the meaning of these two qualities, this sutta also reveals the Buddhist attitude towards a person's relationship to society. The Buddhist teachings view the internal life of an individual as intimately connected to the external world, to society. These two aspects of a person's life are inseparable. Monks. Once in the past, an acrobat set up his bamboo pole and addressed his apprentice thus: "Come, climb the bamboo pole and stand on my shoulders." Having consented to this request, the apprentice climbed up the bamboo pole and stood on the teacher's shoulders. Then the acrobat said to the apprentice, "You protect me and I'll protect you." Thus guarded by one another, protected by one another, we'll display our skills, collect our fee, and get down safely from the bamboo pole. When this was said, the apprentice replied, "That is not the way to do it, sir. You protect yourself, teacher, and I'll protect myself. Thus, each self-guarded and self-protected will display our skills, collect our fee, and get down safely from the bamboo pole." That is the correct method in that case. It is just as the apprentice said to the teacher when thinking, "I will protect myself," one must apply the foundations of mindfulness. So too, when thinking, "I will protect others," one must apply the foundations of mindfulness. Protecting oneself, monks, one protects others. Protecting others, one protects oneself. And how is it that by protecting oneself, one protects others? By persistent practice, by cultivation, and by enhancement. It is in such a way that by protecting oneself, one protects others. And how is it that by protecting others, one protects oneself? By patience, harmlessness, loving kindness, and compassion. It is in such a way that by protecting others, one protects oneself. When thinking, "I will protect myself," one applies the foundations of mindfulness. When thinking, "I will protect others," one applies the foundations of mindfulness. Protecting oneself, monks, one protects others. Protecting others, one protects oneself. Mindfulness for wisdom development and the removal of mental impurity. Heedfulness, apamada, refers to seamless mindful awareness, to living one's life with constant mindfulness. Heedfulness makes one careful and prudent. It prevents one from falling into bad or harmful ways. It leads to self-restraint, warning one against infatuation and indulgence. It urges one to not be complacent. It induces striving and encourages one to continually develop in spiritual practice. It makes one constantly aware of one's responsibilities by reminding one of what needs to be done and what does not, of what has been accomplished and what remains to be done. And it helps one to perform one's various tasks with circumspection and precision. Thus, as stated earlier, heedfulness is of major significance in a system of ethics. Heedfulness as an expression of mindfulness has a wide-ranging significance in relation to one's general conduct in life. Broadly speaking, it is applicable from the stage of moral conduct, sila, up to the stage of concentration, samadhi. At these stages, mindfulness is associated with a large number of other spiritual qualities, particularly effort, vayama, with which it is combined at all times. Looked at solely in terms of the mind during the process of wisdom development, the use of wisdom to purify the mind. However, heedfulness appamada is not directly involved, but rather gives devoted support and encouragement from without. At this stage, attention is confined to the workings of the mind, finally discriminating between the various phenomena presented in a moment-by-moment analysis. It is at this stage that mindfulness is fully engaged and plays a prominent role, and is referred to by its specific name, sati. An understanding of the essential, unique meaning of sati may be gained by contemplating its function on those occasions when its role is clearly distinguishable from that of other spiritual factors, most notably in the practice called the Four Foundations of Mindfulness, satipatthana. On such occasions, the function of mindfulness can be summarized as follows. The primary function of mindfulness is that it prevents the mind from distraction. It does not allow sense impressions to pass by unheeded. It guards against absent-mindedness. It is attentive, as if keeping its eyes on each impression. It passes into consciousness and then bearing down on it. When one wishes to concentrate on a particular object, mindfulness maintains one's attention fixedly upon it, not allowing the object to slip away or disappear. By means of sati, one constantly recollects the object and bears it in mind. One metaphor for mindfulness is a pillar, because it is firmly embedded in its object of attention. Another metaphor is a gatekeeper, because it watches over the various sense doors through which sense data pass, inspecting all that enters. The proximate cause, patana, for the arising of sati is firm and clear perception, sanya, of an object. Alternatively, the proximate cause is any one of the four foundations of mindfulness, satipatthana, which are discussed below. Looking at it from the point of view of ethics, one can discern both negating and positive aspects of mindfulness. As a negating factor, mindfulness guards the mind. It defends against mental distraction, protects one from making mistakes, and prevents one from falling into undesirable mental states or situations. It allows no opportunity for unwholesomeness to enter the mind, and it prevents the misuse of thought. On the positive side, mindfulness guides the stream of conscious experience, the flow of thought, and indeed all of one's actions, so that they follow a desired course. It keeps the mind harnessed to its chosen object. It is thus the tool for laying hold of an object of attention, as if placing it in front of the mind for consideration. In the Buddhist path of practice, there is great emphasis on the importance of mindfulness. Indeed, the Buddha said that it is required in every situation. Mindfulness is compared to salt, which must be used in every curry, and to a prime minister who is involved in every branch of government. Mindfulness may either restrain or support the mind, depending on the needs of the situation. Considering the attributes of mindfulness mentioned above, one sees the benefits of developing mindfulness as follows. An ability to maintain and safeguard desired states of mind by monitoring the cognitive process and the stream of thought. One accepts only that which is favourable to the mind and bars all that which is not. Moreover, the regulating and stilling the thinking process, one facilitates the attainment of concentration samadhi. Freedom, both physical and mental, and self-sufficiency, the body and the mind are intrinsically at ease and relaxed, ready to encounter various situations and able to effectively deal with things in the world. An ability in states of concentration to guide the cognitive process on the stream of thought and to expand their range of activity. Investigation by the wisdom faculty proceeds with optimum clarity by taking hold of a meditation object and, as it were, placing it in front of the mind for subsequent investigation. Mindfulness acts as a basis on which wisdom can be developed and brought to perfection. The purification of all volitional action of body, speech and mind, of freedom from the tainted influence by craving and clinging, accompanied by clear comprehension, sampajana. Mindfulness ensures that one's actions are guided by wisdom, by pure reasoned discernment. The last two benefits listed above are the goals of an advanced stage of spiritual development and are obtained through a prescribed method of practice, referred to as the four foundations of mindfulness, satipatthana. Right mindfulness in the context of the four foundations of mindfulness. Satipatthana may be translated as the four foundations of mindfulness, or the establishing of mindfulness, i.e. the supervision or guidance by mindfulness. Technically, this term refers to methods of applying mindfulness that produce optimal results, as indicated by the Buddha's words in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. Because this is the chief path for the purification of beings, for passing beyond sorrow and lamentation, for the disappearance of pain and grief, for the attainment of the sublime way, for the realization of nibbana, namely the four foundations of mindfulness. The cultivation of the four foundations of mindfulness is a very popular and revered method of Dhamma practice. It is considered to incorporate both tranquility meditation, samatha, and insight meditation, vipassana. The practitioner may develop tranquility until the attainment of jhana, see the following section on concentration, before developing insight based on the four foundations of mindfulness and reaching the final goal. Alternatively, he or she may develop insight, again based on the four foundations of mindfulness, as the principal form of meditation, relying on only a basic level of concentration, just as much as is necessary for the task, and then reach the final goal. Insight meditation vipassana is a vital principle of Buddhist practice, which, though widely discussed, is also widely misunderstood. The following examination of the foundations of mindfulness, satipatthana, however brief, will shed some light on the meaning of vipassana, including its essential attributes, its range of application, and its versatility, as well as the possibilities and benefits of practicing insight meditation in everyday life. The four foundations of mindfulness are outlined as follows. 1. Kayanupassana, contemplation of the body, mindfulness of the body. 1.1. Mindfulness of breathing, anapanasati, going to a secluded place, sitting in a suitable posture for meditation, establishing mindfulness, and focusing on various aspects of the in and out breathing. 1.2. Mindfulness of posture, iddhyapada, clearly perceiving the present mode or posture of the body, say of standing, walking, sitting, or lying down. 1.3. Clear comprehension, sampajana, Maintaining clear comprehension in every activity, example moving forward, looking around, stretching out the arms, dressing, drinking, eating, chewing, urinating, defecating, walking up, going to sleep, speaking and remaining silent. 1.4 Meditation on the repulsive Patikula Manasikara, contemplating the body from the top of the head to the soles of the feet as a repository of various unattractive constituents. 1.5 Meditation on the elements, Dhatu Manasikara, contemplating the body by considering it separated into its four constituent elements. 1.6.9 Cemetery contemplations, Nawa Siwa Tika, looking at corpses in 9 different stages of decay, from one newly dead to one reduced to crumbling bones. In each case, one reflects on that one's own body must meet a similar fate. 2. Vedana Nupassana, mindfulness of feeling, Vedana sensation. When a feeling of pleasure or pain or a neutral feeling arises, whether dependent on material things, samisa, or independent of material things, nira misa, one perceives it clearly as it actually exists in that moment of occurrence. 3. Chitta Nupassana, mindfulness of the nature of the mind, insight into the state of the mind in any given moment. For example, one perceives clearly whether the mind is lustful or free from lust, angry or free from anger, deluded or free from delusion, agitated or concentrated, liberated or fettered, etc. Dhamma Nupassana, mindfulness of mind objects. 4.1 Hindrances, Nitvarana, clearly perceiving in each moment whether any of the 5 hindrances are present in the mind or not, clearly perceiving how as yet unarisen hindrances arise, how hindrances already arisen may be abandoned, and how abandoned hindrances may be prevented from arising again. 4.2 Aggregates Kanda, clearly understanding the 5 aggregates, knowing the nature of each aggregate, knowing how each aggregate arises and how it ceases. 4.3 Sense Spheres Ayatana, clearly understanding each of the 6 internal sense bases and the 6 external sense objects, understanding the mental fetters samyojana, which arise dependent on the sense spheres, knowing how unarisen fetters arise, how arisen fetters may be abandoned, and how abandoned fetters may be prevented from arising again. 4.4 Enlightenment Factors Bojjhanga, clearly understanding in each moment whether any of the 7 factors of enlightenment are present in the mind or not, knowing how unarisen enlightenment factors arise, and knowing how arisen factors can be brought to completion. 4.5 Noble Truths Ariya Satya, clearly perceiving the nature of the 4 Noble Truths. In the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, at the end of every one of the above clauses, there is an identical refrain. A monk abides contemplating the body and the body internally, i.e. his own body, or he abides contemplating the body in the body externally, i.e. someone else's body, or he abides contemplating the body in the body both internally and externally, or else he abides contemplating the truth of origination in the body, or he abides contemplating the truth of cessation in the body, or he abides contemplating the truth of both origination and cessation in the body. Indeed, he establishes mindfulness in front of him that there is a body to the extent necessary for knowledge and recollection, and he abides independently, not clinging to anything in the world. Gist of the foundations of mindfulness. One may see from the description above that the practice of the four foundations of mindfulness, satipatthana, this includes the practice of vipassana, does not require a withdrawal from society into seclusion or a fixed time schedule. Buddhist teachings therefore encourage its practice and integration into daily life. In essence, the teaching on the four foundations of mindfulness describes four areas in our lives which require the guidance and supervision by mindfulness sati, namely 1. The body and physical behavior, 2. Various sensations of pleasure and pain, 3. Various states of mind, and 4. Thoughts and reflections. Sustaining mindfulness at these 4 points helps to ensure a life free from danger and suffering, and such a practice culminates in the realization of the ultimate truth. It is evident from the outline of the four foundations of mindfulness above that in practice mindfulness is never applied on its own, but always in conjunction with other spiritual factors. One such factor, which is not specifically mentioned in the standard sutta definition of sati above, is concentration samadhi, which must be present, at least in a weak form, sufficient for the task at hand. The factors which are specifically and regularly mentioned include atapi, ardor, effort. This refers to right effort, sama vayama, the sixth factor of the Eightfold Path, which entails guarding against and abandoning what is unwholesome, and cultivating and protecting what is wholesome. Sampajano, clear comprehension, full awareness equals sampajana. This refers to wisdom, panya, satima, the possession of sati. This refers to the very factor of mindfulness. In the scriptures, the term sampajana usually appears coupled with the term sati, as the term sampajana refers to wisdom. Training in mindfulness is one part of wisdom development. Clear comprehension is the clear and penetrative understanding of those things or activities focused on by mindfulness. One understands their nature and their purpose. One knows how to relate to them, free from delusion and misunderstanding. The subsequent phrase, free from covetousness and grief for the world, see above, under the definition of right mindfulness, demonstrates the attitude resulting from having mindfulness and clear comprehension. The person is equanimous and independent, unbound by defilements, neither swayed by attachment or by aversion. In the ending refrain, the clause, he contemplates origination and cessation, points to an understanding of things in light of the three characteristics, giving rise to a perception and experience of things as they actually exist. The phrase, he establishes mindfulness in front of him, that there is a body, for example, refers to an awareness of the body in its actuality, without clothing it in assumptions and cherished beliefs, without labeling it as a person or as a self, as him, her, me, or mine. This attitude is one of freedom and independence, in that it is not reliant on external conditions, and it is free from attachment by way of craving, tana, and grasping, upadana. In this context, let us examine the meaning of some important Pali terms. Kaye kaya nupasi, contemplating the body in the body. This is the standard literal translation, which can easily give rise to misunderstanding. One can sympathize with the translators here, because it is sometimes extremely difficult to convey a clear and concise meaning of some Pali terms and phrases. This phrase refers to accurately discerning at all times the body simply as a body, as nothing more than a collection or assembly of various organs and component parts. One does not see the body as being him, her, me, John, or Susan, etc., nor does one see it as belonging to anyone, as, say, mine or his, when looking at the hair or the face. One sees these for what they are, not as a man or a woman. In other words, one sees directly in line with the truth, corresponding with the actual state of the body. What one sees corresponds to what one is looking at. That is, one looks at a body and sees a body, rather than looking at a body and seeing Mr. Smith, or someone loathsome or someone attractive. This is consistent with the saying of the old masters, one looks but does not see, one's vision is distorted and one sees otherwise. Not seeing one is deluded one cannot escape. Atapi sampajano satima, ardent, fully aware and mindful. This refers to right effort, sama vayama, right view, samaditi, and right mindfulness, samasati. The three constant factors of the Noble Eightfold Path, which must always be applied in conjunction with the development of every aspect of the path. Effort energizes the mind, it prevents the mind from becoming discouraged or depressed, from wavering, flagging, or retreating, and it gives no opportunity for unwholesome mind states to arise. It is a forceful urging the mind to press on, and it fosters the growth of wholesome qualities. B. Clear comprehension is equivalent to wisdom, which penetrates the true nature of those objects focused upon by mindfulness, and it prevents delusion from arising in regard to them. C. Mindfulness is the fixing and holding of attention on an object in each moment, preventing forgetfulness and confusion. Vinaya loke abhijja to manasang, free from covetousness and grief in the world. This phrase refers to a freedom from desire and aversion, likes and dislikes. By practicing in this way, the mind is spacious and bright. Neither attachment nor aversion can overwhelm the mind. Ati kayoti va panasa sati pachu patita hoti yava deva yana mataya patisati mataya. He establishes mindfulness in front of him that there is a body to the extent necessary for knowledge and recollection. A mindful person knows clearly and accurately that the body is merely the body. He does not mistake it for a being, a person, a man or a woman, as a self, as mine or yours. The purpose of this reflection is for the sake of knowledge and recollection, the development of mindfulness, clear comprehension and wisdom, and to ward against fanciful proliferations. The same reflection applies to feelings, the mind, and mind objects. Anisito cha viharati, he dispels independently. This refers to a mind that is free, not tied to any condition. One need not entrust oneself to anything or anyone else. Technically speaking, one does not take refuge in or rely on craving, tana, and views diti, and cognizing something, one experiences it directly, according to how it actually exists. One does not resort to craving and views in order to colour and embellish the experience, to lull oneself into forgetfulness, or to dictate one's thoughts, reflections, and general well-being. Nat cha kinchi loke upadiyati. He does not cling to anything in the world. One does not grasp at or attach to anything at all, whether form, feeling, perception, volitional formations, or consciousness, as being self or belonging to self. Atta niya jahatang wa bahida wa. Either internally or externally, scholars have differed in their explanations of this phrase, but the consensus of the commentators is that internal refers to oneself and external refers to others. Such as interpretation corresponds with the Abhidhamma texts, which elucidate the meaning of these terms. For example, and how does a monk see the mind and the mind externally? Here, when another person's mind is lustful, he clearly perceives that that is so. Some people may question whether it is appropriate to intrude and probe into someone else's mind, and whether this is even possible. A brief answer to this question is that the Buddha encouraged us to apply mindfulness to all things that we encounter, and to simply see things as they are. In daily life, we must interact with other people, and we should do so mindfully. We should be aware of people as they are, as they clearly manifest to us in our direct personal experience. If one possesses the ability to read another person's mind, one knows directly according to this ability. If one does not have this power, then one need not be inquisitive. This way one will not obsess over other people and give rise to such unwholesome qualities as lust and aversion. There is no obligation to monitor or pry into the affairs of others. If, however, while, say, speaking to someone else who shows signs of anger, one is unaware of his or her emotional state, how can one claim to be practicing the foundations of mindfulness and applying them in daily life? To summarize, the development of the four foundations of mindfulness entails living with mindfulness, sati, and clear comprehension, sampajana, which prevents any fixed perceptions of self generated by ignorance to interfere with one's thoughts and to cause problems. Some Western scholars have compared the practice of the four foundations of mindfulness with contemporary methods of psychotherapy, and have come to the conclusion that the former provides better results and greater benefits, because everyone is able to apply this practice by him or herself, and to do so in everyday circumstances in order to maintain a healthy state of mind. Here let us return to a summary of the four foundations of mindfulness, yet this time by using a contemporary mode of analysis.